the Boston Trucker with you. Alright, I've got a story for you. Now, I can't call it a trucker story because it's actually 100% true. And as you know, trucker stories, they're only about half true, and you got to be wearing really tall boots when you hear them, and you got to lace them up real tight. This is something that happened to me back in 1994. I was 24 years old. It's not something I'm proud of, but life's full of experiences. This was one of mine, and I thought some of you guys would get a kick out of it. I'm going to ask a couple people not to watch this video. My parents, and a few other younger people. Now, after saying that, my father will still watch this. Whatever, that is. You gotta watch this, but I'm asking you not to watch it. Now, they only know a part of this story. They don't know the whole story. So here's the deal. A little background. When I drove over the road, and now, I was all business. You know, making deliveries on time, always number one goal, no matter what. And in my downtime, when there was downtime, you know, I was hanging out at a truck stop, go next door to the country western bar. I wasn't much of a drinker. I didn't have lot lizards in my truck. Well, a couple of times I had a few use the CB radio to get some business, but I never partook in the lot lizard business. Hit a few strip joints here and there. More there than here. But I was single. So this is back in 1994. I'm on my way to LA. Coming into Las Vegas, coming down I-15 South. And I blew a brake cam on my trailer. And I had to find a shop. So I pulled into the Magic Wand, the truck stop, truck wash. And they had a little shop across the street. Put my truck inside. Went next door to a little Mexican restaurant over there, had lunch. And I was sitting outside, and this car pulls up. And this guy gets out of the car and he opens up the hatchback. He throws a couple suitcases on the ground. A girl jumps out of the passenger seat and goes chasing after her baggage. And he takes off. So I jump up off the bench. And I run over there and I start helping her out, picking up her bags. And we go over to the bench and we start talking. She's telling me a whole story about she was there. She's from Tennessee. And she was there visiting one of her girlfriends from back home. And the boyfriend was trying to get with her. And she wanted no part of it. And he took her to the truck stop. And she's supposed to meet her uncle there, who's a trucker, and give her a ride back home to Tennessee. So we're hanging out 3 or 4 hours while my trailer's getting repaired. And she comes up with the idea that her uncle isn't coming to pick her up, which I think was a story anyways. And she's going to hitch a ride back home to Tennessee. So being the nice guy that I am, because my CB handle was Mr. Nice Guy, I said, you know, you're not going to be able to get a ride to Tennessee out of Vegas. I said, why don't I give you a ride down to Barstow, where Interstate 40 intersects Interstate 15, and 40 takes truckers right to Tennessee. You'll be able to get a ride down there. So now I didn't make it a habit of giving strange girls rides in my truck. I don't know what I was thinking. Well, I know what I was thinking, but I wasn't really thinking it that out loud in my head. But I gave her a ride to Barstow. We get down to Rip Griffin's. We have dinner. I'm liking her. She seems to be liking me. I said, hey, why don't you come down with me to LA in the morning, and I'll drop you off at TA in Ontario after I make my delivery, and you can get a ride home from there. So we go down to LA, get down there in the middle of the night. Man, where the hell we were? Where were we? Santa Fe Springs. That's where we were. Right at Vaughn's. I go to bed. She's already in the bunk sleeping. I go to bed. I wake up in the morning. She's jumping my bones. So now I'm pretty happy about that situation. So I said to her, I said, you know, if you want to ride with me, I'm I'm gonna probably be in Tennessee within the week. I said, I got dispatched to go down to Chula Vista to pick up a load of fish. Chula Vista is right on the Mexican-California border below San Diego. I gotta go pick up a load of fish going to Deerfield Beach, Florida, to Publix. And from there, I'm probably gonna go to Minnesota. I'm gonna go right through Tennessee. I can drop you off in about 5 days. So that's the plan. Go down to Chula Vista. And I load out. This is old school trucking, by the way. This ain't no ELD trucking. This is load Friday afternoon on the Mexican border in California. Deliver 1 a.m. Deerfield Beach, Florida. Okay. Google the mileage. It's like 3,000 miles and over the weekend. And I got a girl with me who likes to have fun. So we start trucking across I-8 and I-10. She's coming off of something. Every time I stop to go to the truck stop, she'd want to get a large coffee and fill it up almost to the top with sugar and drink that. She is coming off of some kind of drug, and she's telling me about her past. And she came from the Tennessee, out in the woods, and there's a lot of bad stuff going on down there, like incest and rape and just bad situation. She was dealt with that her whole life, but she was a nice girl and tall and very thin, and I was noticing she could eat a lot of food. Like, we stopped to get something to eat real quick. I didn't have a lot of time that weekend. We would, I had to hustle. But she'd eat like 3-4 plates of food at the buffet compared to my 1.5 plates. All right, 2, okay? And I was starting to get suspicious that she had bulimia. Because she'd go in the bathroom for 10 minutes, and I don't know. We were trucking along. We went over to, dropped off, we got to Deerfield Beach just on time. And we load out of Bradenton, Florida, load of tomatoes, heading up to Minnesota, and we're going to go right through Tennessee. But now we've decided she's not going to go home to Tennessee. She's going to ride in the truck with me. So as we're coming into Hopkinsville, Kentucky, she's telling me how she used to be a dancing girl, with a pole, one of those brass poles. You know what I'm saying? And can we stop at the dancing joint so she can see some of her girlfriends on the way up there? So I said, yeah, that's fine. I said, you know what, while you do that, I'll pull into the parking lot and I'll take a nap. You go see your girlfriends, and then we'll get trucking on after a few hours. So she says, all right. She goes, can we stop at the package store to get some booze, because it's bring your own booze? I said, yeah, no problem. We stop at a package store, and I put the booze in a side box, and she's like, whoa. I need a couple. I want to have a buzz on before we get there. I said, well, you can't have an open container while I'm driving. We have this big fight, right? We're in the middle of the night in this package store, and she says, that's it, I'm out of here, and she takes off in the middle of the night, like just leaves. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm beside myself. So I take her bags out, and I put them outside, and I take off. I get about 5 miles down the road, and I'm starting to feel guilty, and I'm like, oh man, that was bad. I can't just leave her in the middle of nowhere. I turn the truck around, I go look for her, can't find her anywhere. I'm like, fuck. So get trucking, start heading north towards Minnesota. I get up to the pilot in Terre Haute, Indiana in the morning, do a check call. I call dispatch, my dispatcher Hope, who I was good friends with. And they know I'm all business. It's not like, they know I'm not a screw up, I don't just do stupid shit usually, like this. She says, I said, hey, I had a girl with me in the truck the last few days, and she took off in the middle of the night. I said, I'm a little worried about it. And Hope said, oh, don't worry, I'm sure she'll turn up. This is before cell phones, I'm calling from a payphone. So I go in the shower, and I get in the truck stop shower, and I get paged. And I go take the call, and it's Hope. She goes, hey, that girl just called here. She wants you to call her. She's at a truck stop at 76 in Columbus, Indiana. She wants you to come and get her. Here's the number. So I call her up. I said, what's going on? She goes, oh my God, I was hitchhiking last night. I got picked up by a Henderson trucking driver. He raped me. He left me at this truck stop. Can you come get me? Yeah, and I know rape is bad. I'm not just blowing by that. This is something she dealt with her whole life. And I did take it seriously. But here's the deal. I couldn't go get her because I was 100 miles past there already in the opposite direction. So I came up with a plan. I would head up to Minnesota and come back down to Indiana and get her over the weekend. So what I did was, it helps to know people. If you listen to my old stories, I used to work for a company called Land Transport in Evansville, Indiana. Called up dispatch over there. I said, hey, here's the situation. I got a girl in Columbus. Can you have one of our drivers pick her up, bring her to Evansville, put her in a motel, and I will be back on Saturday night to get her. That was the plan. That happened. I went to Minnesota, unloaded my tomatoes, picked up a load going down to Lakeland, Florida, picked her up Saturday night in Evansville. We headed down to Florida. Then we picked up watermelons out of Augusta, Georgia, back up to Minnesota. And now it was time for me to head home. I had been out about a month altogether. And my brother was getting married and we're heading to his wedding. So now I'm bringing this country girl to my family wedding. Jewish, part of them are a little snobby, family wedding. Not all of them. A few of the relatives I don't really know very well. I'm bringing her to the wedding. And my parents, my parents think that I'm bringing home a lot lizard to the wedding that I picked up at a truck stop. Because that's the information they got from my brother. So we go to the wedding. She gets drunk. Totally drunk at the wedding, right? When my ex-sister-in-law throws the bouquet, she knocks down 5 people to get the bouquet. Alright? Totally embarrassing. We spent about 4 days in Boston. My dad went back on the road. Now she loves Boston. She wants to move to Boston. So we're on our way to our first trip. We're heading out to Salon, Ohio, down to Martin Brower. And I remember we're coming across 84 towards Scranton. And she's telling me how she wants to move to Boston. And can I get in her apartment and pay for it? And I'm like, listen, why don't you go home to Tennessee, save up some money. Hold on. And we'll date when you come to Boston. So she gets really mad. She takes my radar detector, my fuzz buster off the dashboard and throws it out the window, alright? So now we pull into Youngstown, the Petro and Girard. And I ended up meeting my dad there. And I remember I was parked right in front of his truck. We had gone inside, had dinner. We're out in the truck. We're talking. I wasn't planning on leaving. We had this big freaking fight over something. I don't even remember what it was. And I start taking off. And I remember my dad on the radio going, Mike, where you going? Where you going, Mike? And I'm like, I just gotta go. So the plan was when we get to Salon, Ohio, we were going to spend the night at the customer. We bought a box of a dozen donuts for something to eat during the night. And we go to bed, and I wake up hungry at about 1 in the morning. I'm looking for a donut. All the donuts are gone. Empty box. So I give her a little nudge. I'm like, hey, where are all the donuts? She says, well, I ate them all. And I'm like, what do you mean you ate them all? You couldn't have saved me one? We don't have any food. And I look out the passenger window, and she vomited all over the ground. Thankfully not in my truck. And I said, and I was pretty upset. I'm like, you know, you could have saved me one donut. Anyways, I go back to sleep, and I wake up in the middle of the night about an hour later, and she's shaking, like violently shaking. I go, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? She goes, you're mad at me, and I can't live with that, and I took 12 of your Sudafed pills, and I'm trying to kill myself. So I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, I gotta get her home. This is not gonna end well. So she's okay. We don't go to the hospital or anything because I don't know why. But we make the delivery. We head up to Minnesota, pick up a load, going to Craft in Livermore, California, up by San Francisco. It's 4th of July weekend. We're heading on out. We're running across 90. We got a nice. We got like 3 days to get there. Usually you're in California, 2 days out of Minnesota. We got 3 days. We're heading across 90. We drop down through the Badlands, down to 20 in Nebraska. We're coming across 20 west of Nebraska, coming towards Gordon. And I hear on the AM FM radio they're having a big town 4th of July celebration. Everybody's welcome. Free barbecue. So I say to her, hey, let's stop at Gordon and get some free barbecue and, hang out a little. And she says, oh, no, I'm not going to know anybody there, and I don't want to go there. And I'm like, I'm not going to know anybody either. I'm just talking about some barbecue and, having a nice 4th of July, for a few hours. Big fight over this, right? So she says, I want out of the truck. So I pull over just west of Gordon. She says, I want out of the truck. She gets out of the truck. She starts walking back east towards Gordon. I start heading west, and I start feeling guilty again. 5 miles down the road. I'm like, just can't leave her in the middle of nowhere. So there's a restaurant on the left, big restaurant, the big parking lot. I whip it around in there. I turn around, drive past her, turn around again, beg her to get back in the truck. She gets back in the truck. We start heading west. Down to Lusk, down to Rollins, heading across 80, Salt Lake City, coming into Reno, and she's pissing blood. Like, seriously, like, pissing blood. I take her to the hospital. Doctor says she has bulimia, which I pretty much had a feeling anyways. I call her mom. I don't remember why I called her mom, but I had her mom's number. I called her mom. I said, she goes, no, we know. And I said, all right, well, I'm trying to get her home, but I don't just want to leave her anywhere, and we get out to Livermore, make the delivery, and I don't have to pick up till the next day. I got to pick up the next day at Dairyman's in Tulare, California. So I say to her, okay, let's get a motel tonight. We'll get a nice meal. Back in the day, a motel was Motel 6 for me, and a nice meal was a Sizzler. So we get a motel. I think we're up in Modesto, and we go to the Sizzler. We have the big buffet. We have a nice meal. We go back to the hotel room, and we're there like 10 minutes. And she says, "Hey, can you give me some money? I want to go next door to Burger King, and I need cigarettes." And I said to her, "Are you serious?" I go, "We just had like a huge meal, And naturally, she spent 20 minutes in the bathroom afterwards, so she was hungry. And I said something, I opened my mouth, and it wasn't the right thing to say, but I said it. I said, if you kept your food down, you wouldn't be so hungry. Well, she got enraged. She said, "You know what? I'm going to call the police and tell them you raped me, and I get the fingerprints embedded in my leg to prove it." See, what happened was the Henderson driver had friggin' stuck his fingers in her calves and pulled her towards him, and there was like these fingerprints in her legs that were like embedded for weeks. Anyway, that's one thing. Then she says, "And while you're sleeping, I'm going to get a gun, and I'm going to come back and kill you." All right. That was my cue to exit stage left. I grabbed my shower bag. I walked out the door, went down to the payphone. I said, I called her mom. I said, "This is where your daughter is. She's suicidal. She was threatening to kill herself as I was walking out. I gotta go." And I went, and I left. And I took the truck. I headed down to Tulare, went to bed at the customer, woke up the next morning, early, loaded, started heading towards Bakersfield, heading towards Minnesota. I go make a check call to Hope. I said, "Hey, Hope, I'm in Bakersfield." And she goes, "Whoa." She goes, "Hey, that girl you had in your truck." I go, "Yeah, what about her?" She goes, "Did you leave her in a motel last night in Modesto?" I said, "Yeah, I had to." I said, "My job was in jeopardy, my life was in jeopardy." She goes, "Oh, I know." She goes, "She slit her wrist last night, tried to kill herself, but she's okay. Somebody found her, and she's all right, and she wants you to come get her." I said, "Well, I can't come get her." I said, "Can you arrange," this is crazy, like any driver would have been fired over this probably, "can you arrange to get her on a bus and get her back home to Tennessee and take it out of my check and give her some pocket money and get her home?" So Hope agrees to this. They arrange for her to get on a bus that night out of Bakersfield at midnight, and she's going home to Tennessee. Now I'm feeling pretty good. She's going home. I get my truck back to myself. I start going through my truck, and under the bunk, I'm finding she was hoarding cupcakes and cookies. And every time I gave her money and she went to the truck stop, she was bringing back extra food so she could eat it while I was sleeping. But whatever, I got my truck back. Heading up to Minnesota, make my delivery Monday morning over at in New Ulm, Minnesota. I think it was at Kraft. Start heading towards Lake City where the terminal is because I got to get some repairs on my truck, and my truck's going to be down for a day. And I'm about an hour out of town, and I call Hope. I said, hey, Hope, I'm about an hour out of town. She says, hey, don't come to the yard. I go, what do you mean don't come to the yard? She goes, yeah, she didn't go home to Tennessee. She came into town last night. She's sitting here waiting for you and wants you to come get her. Oh my God, are you kidding me? How did she get to Lake City, number one? She had a bus ticket going to Tennessee. I'm out of my mind. I go, I got to get to the yard. My truck needs some bad repairs here. So the plan is they get her off of the property and I sneak into town the southern route, drop the truck off, sneak the truck into the garage so she can't see it. They give me a ride up to Red Wing to the Super 8, and now I call her. I got a phone number where she is. She's like, Mike, where are you? I'm in Lake City. I want to be with you. I love you. And I'm like, oh, well, you know, I was here last night and I picked up a load and I'm on my way to Seattle. And she's like, yeah, but you needed to get your truck fixed. You needed to get your truck fixed. I'm like, oh, well, no, it's fine. She's like, oh, where are you? I'll get a ride and I'll come meet you. And I'm like, no. You need to go home. You need to go home. And she still had the ticket, and she came up with a plan where she was going to somehow go to Greyhound and use it as a voucher to go to Michigan. I don't know. That was on her. Anyways, she goes home to Tennessee, okay? Make a long story short. And I'm still in Lake City, whatever, and she goes home, and then she starts calling Hope every day. Where's Mike? Where's Mike? Tell Mike I love him. Where's Mike? Where's Mike? Tell Mike to call me. Tell Mike to come see me. I love Mike. Mike. And this is going on for months. And then the calls stop. And about 6 months later, she's calling Hope again. Please have Mike call me. I'm on the truck with my uncle. I'm in New Jersey. I end up calling her, and she's like, oh, I'm dying of cancer. I'm with my uncle on the truck. I just want to see you. And I'm like, well, you're dying of cancer. What are you doing on the truck is what I'm thinking. But anyways, I made up some excuses. I said I'm getting married and I moved to Connecticut, trying to throw her off the scent, you know. So 2 years go by, all right? Now the calls stop. 2 years go by. I'm at the Petro 2, just west of Nashville, Kingston Springs, Tennessee, which is right near where she was from. And Christmas morning, I'm sleeping, and I hear on the door. And I open up, and I look out the window, and there she is. Mike, let me in the truck. Let me in the truck. I'm here with my fiance. He drives for Frymiller. Please, let me in the truck. I'll go with you. Just say the word. And I'm like, oh my God. I go, listen, go in the truck stop and meet you inside. And I really was going to go meet her inside, because I had a couple questions. And I get dressed and go inside and meet her in the truck stop. Basically just her and I in the truck stop. I remember it was Christmas morning, it was empty. And we start talking. She's like, oh, I'm with my fiance, and you know, he's a good guy, but I really want to be with you. And I'm like, I also found out the real reason she was in Las Vegas. She was working in a whorehouse. Yay. It explained a lot. This is why I don't want my parents watching this video. But it explained a lot about her. And we left it at that. And that was really the last time I ever heard from her or talked to her. For all I know, she got married to a Frymiller driver. And she's living happily ever after. I tend to doubt it, though. But that's my story. That's a quick version, anyways. And if you're watching this, you're probably one of the lucky ones, because there's a good chance I'm going to delete it within an hour. And come back for my next story. It'll be my trucking years, 1998 to like 2000 maybe. Hope you enjoyed this. Tell your friends. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. You never know what I'm going to post. And everybody have a great day. We got the Boston Trucker.